Hey, what it do, man? Hood Scout back again for another Hood Scout High School Sports Show edition. Like my fourth, fifth, maybe sixth shot, and I already lost count, which is I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but man, we got another coach on, man. So we're just gonna chop it up for a little bit, get his story, get his background, and he's a high school coach. But it took a while to probably get there. So we're just gonna jump in without further ado. Coach, introduce yourself, tell the people who you are and where you're from.
Eric Mims, head football coach at Amarillo Palo Duro High School, my alma mater. Born and raised here in Amarillo, and fortunate to be back here as my first year head coach at Palo Duro High School.
Okay. Like I always do, I like to unpack it. So take me to the beginning. Take me to the life of Eric. What was, whether that's from 7 to 8, 9, what was your entry into the game of football and where were you born and where are you from?
All right, so born and raised in Amarillo, and
Okay.
my mom was the first ever girls track coach here at Palo Duro High School. So we always went to all of the football games at Palo Duro. My dad and his sisters and brother were graduates of Palo Duro, so I've been a Palo Duro Don since I was born, and we used to always go to the games. And I remember when I fell in love with football when I was probably about 5 or 6. I was watching a Chicago Bears game, and Walter Payton was running the ball, and I remember going in the backyard with my ball and start trying to juke my dog with the sweetness move. And so that's my earliest recollection of football. And when I first started to play the game, probably was first or second grade with some flag football, and then moved into some tackle after that, middle school, high school, and some college and arena football after that.
Let me ask you this, Coach. I don't know, it's like a little static. I don't know why. It's like a little static when you talk. I'm not sure what that is, but
Yes, sir.
um, how did you say your mom was a track coach, right?
Hmm.
How did that impact your development as a player, or did it, at that age, or just in general?
Um, the one thing that having a mom as a track coach did, we were always around athletics. And so my sisters and my brother, we played everything, football, basketball, track. My sisters played volleyball and basketball and ran track. So, we were multi-sport athletes. And in this part of the country, at that time, everybody did everything. So
Hmm.
um, I enjoyed playing everything.
Okay, so you play, like I say, play a little college ball. Where'd you play college ball at, Coach?
I played Division II football at Eastern New Mexico University in Portales, New Mexico.
Okay, how was that experience for you? Any
It
any any
was,
lessons gleaned from that time?
yeah, yeah, it was a very good experience. Palo Duro football wasn't very good at the time. We were probably the worst program in all of West Texas. My senior year, we had a new coach come in, and he ended up flipping the program and being the most dominant program in the area, probably for a span of about 5 to 7 years. But we weren't very
Wow.
good while I was here, so there wasn't a ton of college opportunities. I actually would be considered a walk on at East New Mexico, and I played as a true freshman and got freshman of the year for the conference. And after
Oh, that's
that,
big time.
I was put on scholarship there, and it was a good experience, man. Made some lifelong friends and learned a lot of valuable lessons. Had some winning seasons there with were conference champions as a freshman, and had a 8-3 season. So we did a good job, and I enjoyed that experience playing over in Portales.
Okay, and then you say you play a little arena ball. And then at what moment did you know you were going to be a coach, or at what time was coaching kind of on the on the horizon for you? Like when was that something that in your mind?
Well, my mom always told me I was going to be a coach. She's our pastor now at my church. My dad was the original founder of the church, and since my dad passed, she now carries that torch as our pastor. And so she used to always tell me when I went out to school that I was going to coach. And my mom taught English, and so I would see her at night grading papers and staying up late to be a good teacher. And I told her, Mom, I never want to be a teacher or a coach to have to deal with these knuckleheads and the long hours grading papers. The kids were disrespectful. This is early this is early 2000s, and so schools
Okay.
have progressively become different. I'll say it like that.
Yeah.
They've become a lot different. And she told me I'll be a coach. I went to school. I was going to be the next Stuart Scott. I was in broadcast journalism, and
Oh wow.
I got out of broadcast journalism because I always wanted to be a family man, and I knew those sports broadcasters. You did the late show, you did the night show, and it was important to me to be home with my wife and kids. I always had that vision to be home and to put them to bed and to be the last person they saw at night, be the first person they saw in the morning. So I said, those hours a little too late for me. I'm gonna do something else. So I changed my major a couple of times, and then I remember one day I called my mom and said, "Hey, mom, you were right. I'm changing my major for about the fourth time. I'm gonna be a coach." She said, "I already knew that." You know, she wasn't surprised at all that I was going into to coaching, and from that moment, I knew I wanted to be the head coach at Palo Duro High School. One of my buddies kind of laughed at me. He said, I told him I wanted to go to a school that was full of minorities, and I wanted to be able to be a blessing to those students and to see them out of the situations they were in. He said, "Man, you can't choose a school based off of the makeup." I said, "Look, this is what I want. This is the type of demographics that I want to be involved with and where I see my career going." And I knew at that
Mhm.
time I wanted to be the head coach at Palo Duro High School, and it took a while to get here, but I'm back at my alma mater, and I'm excited about this opportunity.
You know the funny thing with that though, like I could see you being a like in journalism and in broadcasting, but you know you took a stand. You took a stand for your family. I think that's a powerful lesson. So if anybody hear that, I mean he took a stand, changed his major, and it all worked out. So coach, when did you land your first coaching job, and kind of break down that experience from that, whether that's that first, second, third kind of job, and working your way through the ranks? Because I'm sure that was a pretty experience for you.
Yeah, my first coaching job was actually in middle school. I
Hmm.
started at a middle school here in Amarillo, Texas, and did a year there in middle school. Then my head coach, Steve Farr, had a position available here at Palo Duro High School my second year. So I came to PD and did 5 years here with him from about '06 to 2011. At that time, crazy story. My wife always wanted to move to the Metroplex. I never wanted to move to the Metroplex. I never wanted to
Oh
leave that little.
wow.
And
Wow.
he tell us, "No, we'll never move." And because, like I said, my dad was our pastor, and I was next in line to pastor the church. My family has business. I mean, there was nothing better for me than to inherit everything that my dad had and to more or less walk in his shoes. And so I never wanted to leave. I just wanted to stay here forever and and just carry out the family legacy. And one night we were asleep, and God said it's time to move to Dallas. And so I shook my wife and said,
Mhm.
"Hey, babe, God said we're moving to Dallas." And I went back to sleep. And the next morning she said, "Were you serious?" I said, "Yeah, we're moving to Dallas." And so, you know, I ended up applying for a couple of jobs and ended up getting on with the GOAT, the Godfather, Reginald Samples there at Skyline, and did 3 years with him at Skyline. And when he got the Duncanville job, I was blessed for him to ask me to be one of the guys to go with him to Duncanville. So I ended up going to Duncanville with him. Um, then Herman Johnson, who was our offensive coordinator, got the head job at Dallas Skyline, and so he promoted me to offensive coordinator, and I served as his offensive coordinator for 3 years before getting this job here at Palo Duro.
What are what are some lessons? What are some lessons that you learned during that time? Like I said, you're under Coach Samples, and anybody who may be listening from out of town, really a coaching legend in the state of Texas, over 300 wins,
Mhm.
really legendary. What are some, you're a young coach, or what are some lessons learned during that time as you're working your way up?
Structure, organization, accountability, um, mentoring younger coaches. You know, there are so many things that just being in the room. Sometimes you can hear stories or people can tell you, but you just have to be in the room and to see his presence and to to see his leadership. Um, you see those things and you glean those things, and you just take deposits from the meetings that you're in, and the phrases that he uses, and the structure and the accountability that he has for coaches and the players, and interactions with parents. It was a great. I want to say I was with Coach Samples 8 9 years, great 9 years of learning. It's a place where you can't be comfortable. You'll never be comfortable working for them. The expectations are always high. You can do one thing well, and there's always other things that need to be improved. And it's a place where if you're willing to grow, I've seen guys only make it a year. I've seen guys like myself make it 8 or 9 years. So it was great for me, and just to sit under him and watch greatness, and to have an example of what greatness looks like, and how he built those teams and molded those teams, and the decision making process day to day is it was phenomenal.
And that's a powerful thing you said. Like you lasted 8. Some people didn't even last 1. Everybody, likes greatness until it's kind of a strain on you, but it grows you, and that's a powerful point. So during that period, what are maybe some notable guys on the team that stood out? Maybe some guys that you remember like they were good leaders for us, or just guys that maybe went to the next level. Like what are a few players that really stood out, throughout
Oh
that
man,
career, throughout that part of your career?
going all the way back to Skyline. One of the first people I coached was Coach Sample's son, Rashad Samples. So that's
Okay.
always interesting. You're coaching the head coach's son. He was already an All-American, and now he's big time in the college football world. Another receiver I had that ended up being uh, highly recruited was Carlos Strickland out of Skyline. One of my favorite players ever is Savon Rollison. I mean, straight dog out of Dallas Skyline. So we had some phenomenal guys there. Jordan Neely, Emmanuel Harris. That's just in the receiving core. Jordan uh, Stevenson, and I mean DeLeon Ward. There was so much talent at
Hmm.
Dallas Skyline. It was definitely a fertile place for me. Learned a lot of football. Learned a lot about inner city Dallas, and a lot of precious memories coming from 7777 North Forty Road. Man, it was something every day there. Uh, the you don't really understand what goes on in inner city until you're actually
Hmm.
in inner city. People have all these stories, and they say, "Oh well, this should happen." Now, no, there's different rules in inner city. There's different the same privilege isn't given to those schools. I know places here in Amarillo, our middle schools have turf. Man, we had grass fields, dirt fields, dust fields, no towers to film practice. I mean, it's a different world being in the inner city, and that's at Dallas Skyline, the nicest school in the city of Dallas. And so, learned a lot from being in that humble situation, and coached a lot of great kids there coming to Duncanville. I mean, you name it. JJ was one of the greatest players that has ever put on cleats in Duncanville history. And Tristan Smith is phenomenal. Savion Bird, offensive lineman.
Hmm.
Jalen Early's still there. Big Cam is still there. But those offensive linemen, man, was we could go if we went out and stood beside SMU, TCU, Baylor, North Texas. You couldn't tell those guys were still in high school. We had some offensive linemen that were spectacular, and the speed receiver, um, Roger Daniels, and the Beeson boys. I mean,
Hmm.
we had some talented guys on both sides of the ball, and ultimate competitors. Loved every minute of being there.
And so that leads you up to where you are now. What was the feelings and emotions like, when you received that phone call or confirmation email that you received the job? What was that like, receiving that head coaching job um at your hometown? Walk me through that experience.
Well, it came with a lot of uh, delay and some animosity. The job opened 5 years ago, and I didn't get the job at that time, and I was disappointed. My community, the north side of Amarillo, specifically the African American community, was disappointed. I'm the first African American head coach here in Amarillo ISD history for football since segregation, and so the community was really pushing for me to get the job some 5 6 years ago when the job opened, and I was so heartbroken by not getting it the first time. I didn't apply for it this time, and had a lot of people from the community calling, man, we need you to come home. We want you to come home. And I was in a situation at Duncanville where one of my dream jobs, I had three dream jobs out in the DFW. I said I would
Okay.
love to be the head coach at Mesquite Horn. I'd love to be the head coach at Bowie. I would love to be the
Okay.
head coach at SGP. And two of those jobs came open after I took the Palo Duro job. I kind of laughed, said, man, Lord, that was a good one, Lord, because,
Oh wow.
if those jobs come open before PD, then I might not be here today. But it was just all the will of God, man, that I swallowed my pride and said, yeah, they didn't hire me the first time. And when they reached out to me, we were still playing. We were still in the playoffs. And I was like, man, I'm trying to win the state championship. It's kind of bad timing. They were ready to move fast. They wanted to get somebody in, with the season being delayed last year, and we're still playing in January. There hadn't even been a state champion named that January. Um, but after some prayer, talking with my wife and a couple of my friends, um, I decided to go ahead and pursue the job, and it's been a great decision. It's good to be home, have the support of my wife. She's also a Palo Duro graduate. She's also born and raised here. So um, it's been great, and no looking back now.
Yeah. That's kind of like a family dream, man. Now, they denied you 6 years ago, I think you said. Was it, even though it was at home job, was it still a hard decision for you? Like some, and was it that because okay, for people that don't know, those couple other jobs that wanted him, even though they came up after him, they were some legitimate jobs. So just let you know what type of
Yeah,
candidate you're
I
dealing with.
can't say that those jobs wanted me. I just those were some
What?
jobs I said, man, if these jobs ever open, I definitely
Okay,
would pursue those places. And so,
okay,
and there were a lot of jobs that came open in the DFW this year,
yeah, it
well, this
was.
past season, and it was just the timing where God put me in situations to say, hey, take this job. And then after I took that job, me and my best friend always laugh, man, the floodgates open. There were a million DFW jobs, and
Yeah.
my family had become real accustomed to the DFW, and I had two kids graduate from Duncanville while I was there, and I had a freshman daughter at Duncanville, and she was like, no, don't take me back to West Texas. I want to finish school here in the Metroplex.
I can see that.
Her
Yeah, I can see.
friends and
I can see
loving
that.
it. Yeah, I mean, she had been to school. She had been to school in DeSoto from kindergarten to eighth grade, and then ninth grade we moved her to Duncanville with me because my wife was a teacher in DeSoto ISD, and we lived where we lived. We fed into DeSoto ISD, so my daughter had been going to school in DeSoto. Well, then we take her from all her friends and put her in school in Duncanville as a freshman, and now we
Mm-hmm.
take her out of that situation where she had just made friends and move her to West Texas. So
Yeah.
it was rough for her. She
Yep.
definitely wanted me to get a job and stay out in the Metroplex. And but we're walking in the will of God, and we'll see what happens from here.
Now you said something a while ago that it honestly almost brought me to tears. You said the first African American coach since segregation.
Hmm.
Wow, wow, wow.
And, and that's in
I mean, that's
football. There's basketball coaches. Like I said, my mom was a track coach, but we're talking about Texas high school football. We're talking about the athletic coordinator. We're talking about all the perks of being a head coach in Texas football. There had never been an African American coach since Carver shut down in the late '60s, uh, and when Mr. Johnny Allen was the last head football coach that would have been in the Prairie View League. So we're talking UIL, we're talking Texas high school football, we're talking Friday Night Lights. Yeah, I'm the first African American coach in Amarillo post segregation.
Wow. Now, what you got this job? What's talk about this year? How did it go for you? And what is your vision for this program, Coach? Where are you trying to take this program? What kind of heights are you trying to go to?
Oh well, um, some people would say I'm braggadocious or would say I'm conceited or arrogant. My goal was to win 7 games here this first year. We ended up going 5-5. Didn't make the playoffs. Those were our goals. We wanted to go win 7 games. We wanted to make the playoffs. Reaching those plateaus would have been monumental here because um, there hasn't been as much success in the past as the community and the school would have wanted. So that's why those goals are set that high. And I'll never shy away from setting high goals, and I'll never shy away from making those goals public. Um, always have high expectations for our guys. We'll always want to make the playoffs. Um, right now, 7 wins is the goal that we have set year in year out. I love to get this program to the place where we're a double digit winning team every year. I think that's the type of talent that we have in our community. That's the type of talent. Uh, my middle schools are rich. My freshman team played well, and so did my junior varsity. So we're going to keep setting the bar high, and we're going to keep having high expectations. But yeah, we came out first round out the box 4-0, did extremely well in 9 districts, and then we kind of struggled down the back stretch. We had a couple games that we were extremely competitive in that we wish we could have gotten different results. Went into a game in the fourth quarter, tied 2020. Um, this last weekend, we were overtime, final game, and lost. Played a couple of teams extremely well, but you can't lose your way into the playoffs, and moral victories don't count. So we've got to continue to improve next year.
Let's attack that point right there. What lesson maybe was learned during that process? Because as I looked at you guys' season, I seen a fantastic hot start, and then I did see where you guys may have fell off a little bit toward the end. What what would you attribute that to, or what would you say is an area of improvement right there?
Consistency early in the year. Um, we played some teams and we played a little more consistent. And as we continued to play, some of our flaws were exposed, and we didn't play as well down the backstretch. And we played some better competition uh, in our district. So a lot of learning points, lot of moments. You know, I've got to continue to remind myself that I'm not at Duncanville. Um, Everything that worked for Coach Samples at Duncanville isn't going to work for Eric Mims at Palo Duro. I've got to make this my own place. And even though I have the blueprint, um, you have to modify and adjust as you build with that same blueprint.
Mhm. Who are some of the guys on the team? Who are some of your high character guys? Maybe some guys that stood out this year. Who are some guys that put it out on the line that maybe stood out as leaders of the team this year?
Yeah, we had a offensive lineman, Riley Brown, who really took on a heavy leadership role. He was a senior. Really wanted playoffs for that guy. Really wanted to experience 7 wins for that guy. You know, he's had a rough high school career, and I identify with those seniors. Um, as a kid who wasn't very successful his senior year, to see those kids make the playoffs, to see those kids have success, to see them win and smile and enjoy football was big, and just my heart was hurt for them that we didn't end up getting that final goal of playoffs. Michael Wesley was another senior leader who's done a great job. Very high character kid. Both of these guys are AAB students who will go on and play college football. Junior leadership is Cameron Brown. Um, he's one of the best athletes in this area, and definitely have to get him the ball more next year. He did great things down the stretch for us with the ball. Other captain ended up tearing his ACL versus Tascosa. He was one of our best offensive weapons. Avery Randall, he played quarterback for us, and I was sharing time with him, and he was playing in the slot for us and in the secondary. So, I mean, total athlete. Um, Having him go down in our first district game really hurt because his leadership and his playmaker ability, man. having that kid was awesome. He had a game at the beginning of the year where he had 6 touchdowns in the game and was player of the week. And so, losing him hurt on the field, off the field, leadership wise, he had done a great job for us up until his ACL injury.
And who the coaching staff? Are these coaches that you hired, or some of them, or they retained? What's your coaching staff looking like, Coach?
Oh, we had a variety of coaches. I brought in about 6 or 7, and I retained about 5 or 6. So those guys did a great job this year. Specifically, the guys that had been here, they were dealing with a big change, and changing leadership isn't always easy. You're going in, and now the way that you did things yesterday changes today, and the way you did things in years past are changing. And those guys modified, adjusted well. They were loyal, and so I have no complaints. I brought in my offensive coordinator from Duncanville with me. Did a great job with our offense and with the offensive line. My DC was spectacular all year as well. Did a great job making adjustments. And then we had I would say, a celebrity. He's probably the most notable Palo Duro High School player to come through. He's a first round draft pick named Ziggy Hood. Retired from
Oh,
the NFL and
wow.
came back to coach defensive line for me. So we have a pretty good staff, and we'll grow this off season, and we'll get better, and try to put a better product on the field next year.
That's cause you. I like how you slipped that in there, Coach. That's big. I mean, you had an NFL guy. Everybody know who that is. I mean, if you don't, then you don't follow football probably. But wow, what was that experience like? Let's talk about that just real quick. Like bringing him in. Like, how did that come about? And what was your kind of thoughts on that?
Well, his dad has been part of the program since I was a senior. Matter of fact, I played with his cousin, and his dad was at every practice. And then as as his son Ziggy played, he was at every practice, and so he became quote unquote a residential coach, and he's always there to encourage and motivate guys. And Ziggy had retired, and so I got the word from actually one of my coaches who ended up taking going into a different profession. He said, "Hey, Ziggy wants to come coach," and so we started the conversation about certification, and it was looking good. Then it wasn't looking good, and then we started talking again in June, and boom, Ziggy Hood, Palo Duro Don, first round, Pittsburgh Steelers, alumni, Palo Duro Hall of Fame. Now he's on the coaching staff. So man, people love it around here. They've had him on commercials. They've had him do guest appearances, and he's done a great job, man. Happy to have him. Brings a lot to the table. We're about to get into off season, and if I can turn about 5 of my players into his body type, then hey, we cooking with high grease.
No, for real, for real. Okay, so we come up on about 30-minute mark, man. I told Coach give me about 15 minutes, and we'll see it that. So we're gonna end with these two
Shoot, I ain't
questions,
in the
Coach.
playoffs, man. I can shoot. I can talk all day, man. I ain't got nothing to
Okay,
get
hey, hey,
ready.
hey.
So
Well, hey, we gonna keep rolling then. What what would you what would you say to a young coach? You got a young coach out there. Maybe he's frustrated. Maybe he's trying to move up. How would you encourage a coach in a profession? One that may feel like the odds is against them, Coach. What would you kind of say to a coach like that?
man, um, it's no secret. I'm a black head coach, and I've been the token coach. Out in the West Texas, there's not a lot of black coaches, and so I've been the token black coach on staff. I've been the only black coach on staffs. Um, I've been frustrated behind that before. I've been frustrated behind not having the opportunity to move up. I've been frustrated behind this guy got the job. I thought I should have got the job. I was equally as qualified. I've been frustrated behind guys on staff advancing before me when I thought I should advance. And man, I just say keep the faith, keep being loyal where you are, growing the soil that you planted. Um, be ready to take opportunities. For I think my career is totally different because I moved to Dallas and coached with Coach Semple. I think I would be a good coach if I'd have stayed here forever. I don't even know if I'd be the head coach here. Uh, Matter of fact, one of the athletic director at the time, my best friend is Lance Bruner. He's the head coach at Dallas Molina. We both graduated from here at Palo Duro in 2000. Uh,
Okay.
Lance Bruner asked our previous athletic director here in Amarillo, he said, "What do I need to do to advance in AISD?" And he literally told him, "You need to go get experience." And so I don't even know if I'd be the head coach here had
Wow.
I just stayed and tried to play the waiting game and wait for the guy to retire before me and hope that I get an internal promotion.
Hmm.
So be loyal in the soil that you're in, but always be ready for a next opportunity. I'm a man of faith, and so prayed about opportunities and I let God lead and guide me where He wanted me, and the opportunities that were available. Um, he made it real clear where I need to be and what I need to do.
Already, coach. Good, good, good. So I like to use these interviews as kind of like a learning experience. So you're out in Amarillo. What teams do you guys play? And give me a breakdown of that geographical scene. I'm a kid from Dallas. Maybe somebody listening from out of town. What's that? What teams, what towns are you guys playing? And kind of talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah, I've had the experience of being in the Metroplex where there's not a ton of travel for games, and being from West Texas, we travel shoot all the time. My first game was at Seminole, which is a 3-hour trip from Amarillo to play
Wow.
a non-district game. Um,
Wow.
our district was comprised of the four Amarillo schools. You have Amarillo High, you have Tascosa and Cap Rock. And then um, other district opponents were in Lubbock, hour and a half, 2 hour drive down where Texas Tech is. And those opponents were Lubbock Coronado, where my boy DJ Man is the head coach,
Hmm.
Lubbock Monterey, and Lubbock High. So that comprises our district and really competitive district. A lot of good football out here. Um, you know, I've always said for years that Metroplex has the best football, and I agree with that, and hadn't changed my mind on it, even though I lost a state championship to a Greatest Houston team. Um, but the level of football here is a lot better than I thought it would be. The teams competed hard, they're well coached, disciplined, play hard, and some coaches doing some really good jobs out here at these schools.
What? I want to, man. We can go so many different ways. I want to kind of talk in on two questions for sure. But you talked about 20. That time in Duncanville, you guys played North Shore. That was a very good North Shore team. For people who don't know, that was a very good
Well,
Duncanville team. And I was at
mhm.
that championship game, and that one on the Hail Mary, what many talks about is the greatest high school game of all time, which I can agree with. I've never seen anything like it, so that was I know that had to be tough. But because you was on that team, right, Coach?
Yeah, I was the offensive
Yeah,
coordinator for that Duncanville
yeah.
team.
So
Yes, sir.
so I yeah. So what does it take to win? Because getting to a state championship and being in great position to win is big. What did it take to get there? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it was a journey, man. You got to be healthy. And so we
Hmm.
were really healthy that first year. We didn't have any major injuries offensively or defensively. Our best players were playing week in, week out. Um, we had good team chemistry. Our team loved each other and they played hard for each other, both sides of the ball. We were very well coached offensively and defensively. The offensive line was spectacular. Running backs were good. Receivers knew their assignments, did their jobs. Quentin Jackson was a man amongst the boys. Defensively, we were stout up front. We could cover you in the back end with a couple of 5-star kids, Chris Thompson and Ennis Rakestraw, Stacy Brown, Trayshawn DeVones, Marquez Beeson. I mean, we were loaded, and man, we were healthy, we were physical, we were underdogs going into that Allen game. Allen hadn't lost, and they had been winning back to back to back to back state championships, and nobody in the Metroplex had beat them. And so for us to beat Allen was paramount. And going into that North Shore game, we knew that they were extremely talented, and they probably matched up with us better than any team that we had faced. And
Mhm.
came down to that play, and you're talking about a way to break your heart.
Yeah, man, that one. I'm telling you, folks. I mean, it's out there, Duncanville, North Shore. That game probably got a million views, but that was because everybody from the Metroplex down here is kind of like within our community, which you have the Duncanvilles, the DeSotos, the Cedar Hills, and all those. Once those teams are fierce rivals, but once they get to that championship, if they make it, the whole city behind you, because
Yeah.
it comes Dallas versus Houston. For those who don't know, that's the Texas high school football landscape. Um, so that was a heartbreak. Who were some of those coaches on the team, Coach? So I'm pretty sure they got hit. Some of them got head coaching
Yeah,
jobs.
yeah, man. One of the craziest thing is that the coaches from Duncanville, he's had so many head coaches here in the last 3 to 5 years. It's crazy. It is
Hmm.
crazy. So I was the offensive coordinator. I'm the head coach here. My wide receivers coach Leon Paul. He's the head coach at Lancaster. Um, Charles Lewis was our running backs coach that year. The next year, Charles Lewis wasn't on our staff, and Devin Anderson was our running backs coach. He's currently the head coach at Fort Worth Eastern Hills. Um, my O line coach was Xavier Joe that year. He's back to Duncanville as O line coach. My offensive coordinator now, Joseph Parkhorn, was offensive line as well that year. On the defensive side of the ball, we had John Towles, who put together one of the best defenses to ever play high school football, if you ask me. He's head coach down at Clearbrook in Houston. Um, Quincy Stewart was linebackers coach. He's the head coach down in San Antonio. Now I can't remember exactly what school he's head coach at down in San Antonio. Ramel Borner has been with Coach Sample for the last 10 years now, assistant head coach. And you mean you talking about somebody can get a defensive line to play football? They're gonna be fast, physical, strong, athletic. Oh shoot. Judd Thrash is the DC now at Duncanville. He was the DB's coach that year. And so, you know, the staffs that we've had and that have gone through that place have been phenomenal. The thing about Coach Samples, he just keeps turning them over and turning them over. He
Hmm.
spits out
Hmm.
about 4 or 5 head coaches every year, and he hadn't fallen off. So salute to him because he brings in the next
Yeah.
guys, gets them trained up and ready to go to his expectations for the next year, and he keeps on rolling.
I mean, talk about a real live legend, man. A real live legend, Coach
Yeah.
Samples, man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what is your offensive philosophy, Coach? What's your bread and butter? Who are you? I know during that championship game, to me, you caught a beautiful game. If you know, as the offense, the mixing up the run, Jaquini taking off, kind of being athletic. That was a beautiful game. What's your coaching philosophy, if you will?
Players, not plays. We got to get the balls to our best players, and we got to put them in situations where they can be successful. So we're spread multiple in our formations and in our schemes. But how can we get our best players the ball? That year, Jaquindon Jackson was our best player. He was catching the snaps, so it was easy to get him the ball. The next couple years, Roderick Daniels was our best player. He was playing receiver, so we had to be creative. We could toss him the ball on jet sweep. We could throw him quick screens. We could isolate him one on one on different things. So we just want to thank players and not plays and get those guys who need the ball to help us win, get them the ball often, and let them expose the other team's flaws and weaknesses.
Um, you like I say, you went through Duncanville, you went through Skyline, you've seen some good players, great talent. Do you have an ideal size that you would want your team, or is that something where it's like, man, that don't matter. Give me just a group, and we're gonna be some junkyard dogs. Like, is it, I wish I could have my quarterback looking like this, or my wide receiver like this, or is it more so at the high school level that's thrown out the door?
Hey, let me tell you this. Coming to Dallas, Texas, and seeing those kids at Duncanville and seeing those kids at Skyline, it was spoiling because you expect every school to have those type of kids here. We're gonna put whatever we got on the field and let's go get it. You know what I'm saying? Let's go fight. And
Yeah.
it might not be a prototype 6'5" Savion Bird or 6'7" Big Cam. It may not be a med lock at running back, and you know that's like college out there, man.
It is. It is. Hey,
God,
now real talk. Yeah, you talking about defensive
boy,
lineman guys that are 6'4", 250, and we're
yeah,
not exaggerating. You can go look it up.
yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
true. Wow. Yeah. And
Jarrell
that, and
Towers out
see,
that wide receiver at Duncanville. Man, that dude is a freak of nature. Our
yeah,
kids
and
don't
that's
look like
folks.
that.
That doesn't grow on trees. That
No,
and
it
I
don't.
think, especially
It
within
don't.
this area, that's a powerful point. Especially within this area, I think you can get spoiled. Like we're
I
so
was,
used to great
man.
players that we think that's the norm everywhere, and it's not.
It's not. It's not. So we have no prototypes. Uh, if you can play, you can play. Now, what my key is getting our kids is strong because I can't determine how big a kid is. That's a lot of that's genetics. I can't determine if a kid comes to me 6'5", if a kid comes to me 6'7". But what we can do is get that kid in the weight room and develop his body and develop his mind. So where we may not have what Duncanville and Skyline had as far as bodies, we can't control what we put in their mind and how we develop those bodies.
Okay, okay, man, that's pretty much what it is, Coach. What are you looking to do for this off season? And if you want to just leave any departing words, you can, Coach. And if you want to shout anybody out or whatnot, you can as well.
Yeah, yeah. What we want to do this offseason is get better, bigger, faster, stronger. Track is going to be key for us. We got to get faster on the track. I got to have athletes that they catch the ball, they're pulling away from people when they stick a toe in the ground. They're making big runs. When you come downhill at safety, you're closing the gap fast. Linebackers closing the gap fast. DBs are driving on balls and intercepting them, knocking them down. So we got to get bigger up front. Can't help our height, but we got to get bigger and stronger in the trenches, and that's where football is won a loss, and that's what I believe. And so it's going to be real critical for us to get some 500 and 600 pound squatters and some 300 and 400 pound bench pressers, and get in that weight room and to learn how to grind and learn how to change our bodies. That's our plan. Is um, I'm sad and I'm heartbroken that I'm not in the playoffs, but we got an extra 6 weeks to go get ready. So we're gonna get this off season cracking. We're gonna go start lifting and running, and we're gonna start chasing 22. Realignment is coming, and so look like we're gonna drop to Division 2 according to the numbers that we turned in on Snapshot. And not exactly sure what our district is gonna look like, but
Mhm.
uh, we just want to put our best foot forward and be better in year 2 than we were in year 1. Not have any sophomore slumps. And shout out to the coaching staff, man. My offensive coordinator Joseph Hartshorn is born and raised in Arlington and dropped everything and moved to Amarillo, Texas. That's a hard move.
Wow,
My
wow.
DC Danny Snyder left the task coaching program that was ranked number 4 in state last week before they lost to Lubbock Coronado. Gonna be my DC. Shout out to Ziggy Hood again. Uh, all the rest of the guys in that office. Appreciate them. Coach Luke, Coach Jeremiah Johnson, Coach Vaughn Johnson, Coach Cash, Coach Worms Baker, Coach Salmon, Coach Gibson, Coach Lane. Hope I didn't forget anybody, but all of my guys that are loyal to the soil and that are here and riding with me and helping me build this thing. Appreciate them. Being a coach's wife is hard. Shout out to my wife Adrian. She ride or die with me through the good, through the bad, and so she definitely keeps me level-headed and humble, and uh, has some great ideas. She might should be the head football coach. She's really intelligent. She's very intelligent, and I
That's
I
beautiful,
appreciate her
man.
support and those 3 hour trips in the car driving to Lubbock on Thursday night games in the car driving, and so
Mhm.
appreciate her faithfulness in supporting my vision and supporting my dream.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Hey, nothing like that family, man. That's really the bedrock of the communities. Let's end on this, Coach. Kind of odd, but kind of different. What do you feel about 7-on-7 ball? We're gonna end on this question. What's your feeling on 7-on-7 ball? Is that something you ever was into? What's your thoughts on it?
Um, I honestly love 7-on-7. I think that, let me say it like this now. I want to be careful with how I choose my words. Basketball plays 365 days a year, and we have a very good basketball culture in Amarillo, Texas. You're in the gym. Those kids in the gym, they're shooting every day. They're playing every single day. They're developing skills. They're dribbling the ball. They're putting up shots. Why can't we catch footballs all year long?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have to sit in the weight room and just say all we do is lift. No, go out there and work on your craft. Go stick your toe in the ground and go catch that ball 1,000 times. Go throw 1,000 posts. Throw 1,000 stops. Why not? Kids are playing sports year round now. That people debate if that's healthy or not, and should kids play multiple sports? I support multi-sport athletes. I've got some football kids who are leaving to go play basketball right now. Some of them are gonna go into wrestling, but we're gonna be throwing that football and catching it, and we're gonna be working on getting better in football all year round because I've been in programs, Duncanville and Skyline, where if you're not working, you're getting passed. And so yeah, go play 7-on-7, go compete, go catch the ball, go to camps on the weekends, go see where you are compared to other kids, and let's get better. Because if you get better as an individual, our team gets better. But don't let what you're doing outside of here be a negative influence on helping our team.
Yeah, yeah. Hey man, that was 45 minutes of straight pressure, man. We appreciate Coach for joining us. Coach, I'm grateful, man. I think just by this interview alone, I think great things are coming to your school. You're enthusiastic, you got a positive vibe, good family, you got good coaching. Um, I say good luck, coach, and maybe we can do
Thank
this
you, man.
again sometime down the line.
Yeah, let's hook up anytime, man. Anytime. I
Okay,
wish you
coach,
the
that's a
best,
wrap.
man. May God bless your endeavors um, with your podcast and everything. Pray that it exceeds your vision for it and that it turns into more than you could even imagine.
Hey man, we both keep God first. With God, anything is possible,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Coach, take care, man.
Yes, sir.
Keep the faith and take care, coach.
Yes, sir. Have a good one. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Yes, sir. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.